penultimate episode of Lord of Mysteries is here, episode 12. We're going to talk about it, but let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Hit that like button, click subscribe. Let's get to episode 12. So Lord of Mysteries is coming to an end next week. We have one episode left after this one, and man, I have loved this donghua from start to finish. I have been so excited every single week. I don't know what I'm going to do on a Friday night now that I don't have it anymore. It's going to be very different. It's going to be very, very different. But hey, the good thing is we don't have to wait too long for it because they've already planned that they're having like 6 seasons of movies. We're eating good for the next 10 years, so I'm excited for it. But man, last week's episode ended on that cliffhanger of DUNN devouring his comrade that was dead. And that was the big thing. That was, what was the whole thing at play for that? So now we get into it here, and obviously Klein saw it. So the captain comes out and acts like, there's nothing wrong here. There ain't anything wrong. Just go communicate with the body and figure out if you can communicate with her spirit and stuff like that. So Klein starts thinking to himself, okay, maybe it was an illusion because Captain's just acting normal. Maybe it's an illusion, maybe it's nothing. And then he's like, no, wait a second, that was real. But now he starts to overthink things because he starts to try and connect dots that don't really connect by saying, oh, did he want this for this reason? Is he a Beyonder going crazy now? Because we have seen that. Klein has experience with that. And he doesn't know what to do. So he goes and tries to confine with two people. Obviously, the former teacher of Klein that we know, the guy that controls the undead spirits and stuff. That episode, which was absolutely incredible. Episode 6, by the way. And Miss Daly. So firstly, his teacher gets back to him. And this is where the teacher starts talking about, like, he could potentially be a vampire. And, we get some more lore and mythology revolving around the vampires and stuff. And he talks about that. But then he also talks about another thing where he's just basically essentially a monster. And, he could lose control. He's unstable at this point. So they were the two things that you think, oh, okay, maybe that. Because, there is a vampire sequence apparently. But as the story progresses, as this episode progresses, we obviously have a moment where we find out that the guy that they've been going after has actually planted a bomb within the town. But this bomb isn't a particular bomb like we all think it was. No, this was the evil deity that he had done the magic spell with. So remember in episode 6 when we're talking about the head, the skull of the teacher's son. Yeah, that's the guy that took that, using that to create like this sort of like chaos, magic, whatever it is, to create the deity, the true creator's body. And he puts it inside this poor woman. And this woman comes in and Klein tries to do the whole tap the forehead, spirit, so he can check it out. But obviously, we know, don't look at the gods. Don't look at a deity. You will die. And he gets that. So he instantly knows, okay, this isn't good. So he rushes off to go, see the captain and that. Meanwhile, we have Roseman trying to just charm her and be like, just chill out. It's all good. Meanwhile, she's ripping her hair out and all sorts of stuff. And I'm sitting there like, bro, this woman's freaking psycho. What, this guy? And then we get the whole thing of watching the guy experiment on her, which was mental, by the way. I was sitting there, I was like, yo, this guy is just experimenting on her with like this dark magic and, creating this deity body and everything. It was just crazy. So anyway, we have Klein meet up with the captain. They obviously go into the big gate again and they're talking about like, what are we going to use? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? And this is where Klein gets something. And then the captain's like, no, I need this. We need to store because the cathedral, holy cathedral, is going to send reinforcements, but I need these ashes. I have to have this. And they're like, whoa, you can't. You need confirmation from the cathedral. And he's like, evoking my like rights that he has to the emergency power sort of thing where he can actually do that. And now Klein's thinking, okay, this is a bit weird. Why is he doing that? And meanwhile, Klein still doesn't know. And then as he's about to go, we have DUNN then say to him, look, Miss Daly's letter is here, but I'm going to explain it to you. And this is where DUNN starts to explain the events of what happened. And the way that he explains it, the way that I'm understanding it, is he devours the people within the same sequence as him. And they basically live through him, essentially. That's the sort of vibe I got, which makes it kind of noble at the same time. It's gross and all, but it's kind of like he lives with them. When he sees someone to die like that, who is very similar to him, who's going down a very similar sequence, I believe the same sequence to him, he devours him. It's just like this whole thing with it that I thought was very interesting. And it just added to the lore again and the world building and this whole idea of how the sequences work and what you can do. But I also gave more to the character of DUNN. And I think that is something that I truly, truly respect and love, is seeing how they develop this character. Because I really like DUNN in this donghua. I really, really love him. And I think this is just adding to that character, making me like him even more, because you can feel like it's something he doesn't want to do, but feels like he has to do. And then Klein understands now where he's come from. Meanwhile, the chick is going mental. She's starting to blow up. Her body is going on thing. The true created body thingy is coming, and it's all hectic up there. And they get up there, and then this is where we have her just ripping hairs out, and she starts to transform. Dunn's like, yo, we need to get all the non-combat people out of here now. We need to do that. We're going to try and fight this thing. And it ends with her being all deformed and stuff. The tongue is out, and she's like, does the horror thing where her head turns and stuff like that, and it's all like body horror. It's freaking mental. So that's where it ends. So we have the big battle that's coming next week. But this episode went really, really quick. It was still 26, 28 minutes long. So it wasn't short or anything. But the pacing of this was just beautiful. I was like, when that happened and then the credits came, I was like, oh, the episode's already done? It just flew by. I was so engaged and so into it that I didn't even realize that we had gone through the whole thing. I thought, oh, maybe this is just 10 minutes. I was like, oh, we're at the halfway point. I'm going to get the little whole Lord of Mysteries thing at the half. Nope, that didn't happen. But it was animated beautifully. The score was fantastic as well, especially when they go into the gate place with all the artifact stuff. The music for that made it seem like it was grand in scale. It did. And I think that is something that I've really, truly loved about this donghua in particular, is the grand scale and scope of it. It feels huge. It feels like every single scene matters. And this episode is no different. And it really did. Look, a job of the second episode of the whole entire season, like the penultimate episode before the season finale, its job is to get you ready for that finale, to deliver it. End on a cliffhanger, get you set up so that when that finale comes on, it's like a 1-2 punch, bam, and then you get the knockout blow. And I think this episode did exactly what it needed to do, and it's got me really, really, really freaking hyped for the final one. Look, I'm not going to say this is the best episode of the whole entire series, but it did its job, it did what it needed to, and it was still a very, very good episode, and it expanded upon things. Bring on episode 13. I can't wait for it. But let me know what you guys thought of this episode. Did you guys enjoy it? Did you not? Smash it down in the comment section below. Smash that like button. Click subscribe. And I'll see you guys next video. Until then, stay safe and peace out.